Hey, good morning, man. Today, I've been trying to get this video done for a couple days, so sorry to hit you a little bit later. I know you've been waiting with bated breath for this last list, but today I wanted to talk about movies. I had a really complicated experience with movies this year. To put it in a very compressed example, I kind of started a little group of friends that I wanted to start talking about movies with, and as we were sharing movies and the way I was talking about them and stuff, it was so detached from the way that I thought about movies, and I was just being really exposed to the way that people kind of want to talk about movies and just kind of want to experience them in a way lighter sense. So I got into this weird cycle where I didn't want to even think about film. I didn't want to think about movies. I didn't want to think about anything cinematic in a deep and emotional way. Every year, I post what movies I watch on my little Instagram story. And this year I didn't do that. I didn't keep track of them. I didn't chase down movies in 2025. It was very strange. I had a very strange experience with it. I think I've kind of come to terms with it now and sort of detached from that sense of self and external judgment. So here is my list of my favorite movies from 2025. So there are 5 of them. Started with Mountainhead, which I think was an HBO Max exclusive. I don't know if it ever came out in theaters. It's about a bunch of billionaires up on a excluded ski resort. They are the tech gurus of the world at that time, which takes place in the present. And it talks a lot about AI and deciphering AI and how billionaires feel about the value of human life and the, not per se corruption, but how much is a human life worth, just because we can make the tech, is that something that we should be doing? And even if it's profitable, when do we say okay, it's profitable, but we're doing the wrong thing? It's kind of funny. I'm not usually a comedy person, but it handles the whole thing very well, even though it's pretty heavy experience throughout. It does a good job kind of making all of it sit correctly in the end. Puts a lot of thoughts in your brain. The other one, I know a lot of people have been talking about this as their favorite movie of the year. It's One Battle After Another. So good. It's a Paul Thomas Anderson movie, which actually reminds me a lot of a Quentin Tarantino kind of movie. It's constant action, a lot of really great dialogue. Sean Penn is a phenomenal character in this one. Obviously, Leo does a great job. Del Toro does a great job. The woman who plays the daughter in it does phenomenal. The revolutionary woman from the beginning, who's the mother of that daughter, brilliant job. The whole film is really great. The way it paced throughout is fantastic. It's a really great film. The first half of it, and the way they handle the revolutionaries and the way they handle the very kinetic portions of it are great. The second half is a lot more tense than what you would think the action part would be, but it's a lot more fraught with very immediate scenes. Great movie. I would recommend it to anyone. I think it deserves what people are saying to be one of the best of the year, so I'm behind it on that one. Really great. Number 3, I didn't hear anyone talk about this one, but I felt so blown away watching it. It was a House of Dynamite, which was on Netflix. It is about it's 3 separate scenes telling the same series of events over and over, maybe 3 or 4 or 5, sorry. But what would happen if a nuclear launch were detected in the United States of America? How would we handle that as a government unit, as individual politicians, as the president? And how do we watch the slow realization that we're about to be nuked? Is this real? Is this not real? Is this a joke? Is this something that's political? Is this something that's just done by a terrorist organization? Truly 2 hours of intense film. The whole thing, I was on the edge of my seat. I wanted to know what was going to happen next in every single moment of that, and I loved it. I thought it was one of the best movies I've seen. I don't know how realistic it is. I don't care. I thought it was fantastic. Number 2, my second favorite movie of the year was Frankenstein. It was on Netflix, not exclusive. It was in theaters a little bit. Oh my gosh, dude, this movie was absolutely stunning, truly beautiful film. Guillermo del Toro has such a visual language where he does not cut any corners. He does not prevent the full vision of his beauty to be abbreviated in any way. Costumes are brilliant. The way that he told the stark story of Frankenstein, closer to the novel than anything I've seen before. He tells the full story of truly how the dichotomy of man, and how what is immortality, what does it mean to be created, what is our relationship with God, what does it mean to love, what does it mean to be close to nature, what does it mean to trust. I thought you can read Mary Shelley's Frankenstein and draw a far better line from that novel to this film than anything that the horror tale of that has become in cinema. But also, not knowing anything about that, you can watch this and truly love it. Even though I think Frankenstein as a concept is far more momentous than what we think of as the book itself. But also, this movie stands alone as a great film in general. So, huge fan of that one. I hope more people will watch this one. And my number 1 movie of the year is a little... another one I heard no one talk about, but it is very, it's pretty dumb. It's Warfare. How did no one talk about this movie, dude? So Warfare talks about, I would say, a 2 to 8 hour event in during one of the recent wars. I don't remember which one. I suck, dude. but it is it's in the Middle East. It's a group of soldiers who are going in, who are holding down this one domicile. And as they're there, it's very Black Hawk Down, where as things are happening, they realize that, oh man, we are clocked in this building. The enemy, or the people who live in this village, know that we're here. And they're going to get us out of this building and their village and their country by any means necessary. And absolute chaos spills forth. It is a very violent movie. It is very realistic in terms of the way that the combat is portrayed to someone like me who has never been in a combat situation, so I'm not fact checking. But again, another film where I watched it, absolutely gripped watching every moment of that. The impacts feel so powerful. The explosiveness of it feels directly adjacent to you. The lives of the soldiers on both ends of the battlefield feel palpable and real, and important. Every instance of damage, injury, heroics, rescue feels urgent. It feels very human, in that it doesn't feel like they're doing heroics in a way that feels like what's that one? The American Sniper one, where he just feels like Superman. It didn't feel like that. It felt like a bunch of guys who either were, recruited or enlisted and were in a combat scenario, and they felt like they were just dudes who were there doing their job. They felt very, very much like people, flawed and everything. But that was a very tense movie. One of my favorite experiences. I honestly watched it and felt shook by the end of it. So those are my favorite movies of 2025. I'm going to do a way better job in 2026 of keeping track of what I loved, and sharing, and just talking about movies again. If not for you, for me. So yeah, man, thanks for hanging out. Music starts Sunday, and I'll be talking about all my favorite music of the year. You won't have to watch me though. It'll just be all my overly wordy essays on my Medium. So check you later, man. See you in 2026.